Conquering every planet in their path, the Bozok now sets their sights on Earth. However, a remaining intelligent life form named Dapu from one of the planets they devastated has reached the planet Earth to choose 5 young warriors from an auto shop to become the Carrangers to combat the Space Bozok. Our heroes are Shuji, the Red Racer, and the test driver for the auto shop. Next is Minoru, the Green Racer and the salesman. Then we have Naoki, the Blue Racer, the car designer, and next we have Natsuki, the Yellow Racer, who is also the main mechanic, and last we have Yoko, the Pink Racer, and the auto shop secretary. Through trial and error and lots of teamwork, the team will set out to stop the threats of the Bozok with, well, that's it for that. And this series commemorates the 20th anniversary of Super Sentai, but an up and downside, it was coming off of Ohranger, a dark series. Due to the reasons of Ohranger's low ratings of being a dark series at a wrong time, Carranger sets out to be a comedy series in which hardcore fans call a cynical parody of the genre. Because of the comedy aspect to the point that it's considered parody, I don't recommend this as a gateway to the Super Sentai category. If any of you fans feel differently, feel free to state your opinions. Since it's meant to be a parody, I feel that you should watch some other Super Sentai series first as a means of understanding the archetypes and formulas of the genre in order to understand Carranger and Super Sentai for that matter for what it is. Despite this quality, the more you watch it, the more you can recognize it as its own distinct series as well, besides just being a parody. But for me, it did take time to get into this series and enjoy it. The series' pace in which its initial episodes centers around the team, and when it gets settled in, it becomes more character-centric in which the character featured has an obstacle to overcome, though it is portrayed in a very comedic fashion, but still everyday problems we can relate to. Plus, the show has some excellent character development. I like how initially in the first, I believe in episode 2 or 3, Kyosuke refuses to participate in battle, feeling that the other members are enough. And then, in that episode, realizes his selfishness. And then when you see him come full circle just half past the series, during a time when they are powerless, he acknowledges that they have no chances of winning, but he says that they should fight not to win, but because it's the right thing to do, and I really like that part of his development. Like in Kakuranger, the Carrangers don't officially get a 6th member, but they do get backup characters. 2 of them are Signal Man and the VRV Master, who you may recall as the Blue Centurion and the Phantom Ranger in Power Rangers Turbo. And yes, in Carranger, it does reveal the VRV Master's identity, and if you want to know, watch the series. And Dapu, despite being a child, is a rather capable as a mentor and leader. I say the fact that he has lost his home planet and his family has made him more mature and wise beyond his years of the Carranger cast members. He is always looking out for the team and shows that he cares about the people of Earth, but at the same time does show that appropriate vulnerability and innocence. The villains also play a part in the whole comedy aspect to all this. Even though they have conquered a good portion of the universe, they should be pretty threatening, but at the same time, they are also shown to be incompetent. Their gimmick is loosely based on the Japanese motorcycle gangs that you see in anime such as GTO. But this gimmick was also used in Ranger before with the 3 Goma Stooges, but this time it's more centered around in Carranger. And when you get to the main villain, he is pretty threatening, but of course, the way they react to things are rather eccentric. What's also interesting is that one of the villains, Zonette, is played by a porn actress, and some of those aspects are minimally played into with her character by acting seductive to get what she wants. I know this may sound strange to some people, but I like how this series is that the team actually keeps their identities a secret. Upon this review, the only Sentai series I've watched are Jetman, Zyuranger, Ranger, Kakuranger, Ohranger, and the currently airing Gokaiger. In all of those shows, those characters were willing to transform in front of civilians without hesitation. Though there of course is one exception in Jetman, but it was kind of circumstantial of what ended up the way it was in that one. And of course the villains in this series also don't know their true identities in Carranger. And I think that also comes into play with the comedy, now that I think about it. But now that I also think about it, why the fuck did Zordon have that rule that nobody can know that the team members are Power Rangers? Plus, Rita knew who the Power Rangers were, and she rarely exploited that knowledge. But anyway, makes you think what the writers were thinking. But yeah, but I found it pretty cool that for Carranger, out of the Sentai shows I've seen to this point, that it uses this direction with the story and its comedy, and I'll add more to this with the action. So I'll leave the story and characters at an 8 out of 10. Along with what I was just talking about, the Carrangers outside their costumes mostly can't really fight worth shit. When they do fight out of their costumes, it's more out of desperation for their life and, trying to escape to change in secret. The only characters who showed any capable fighting ability out of costumes are Natsuki and Naoki. And, but other than that, regular Mugger could probably kick their asses. Remember in Power Rangers how Billy in the first season couldn't really fight without his costume? Well, this time it's kind of more or less like that. At first, I really didn't know if this was a good idea. I don't know if other Sentai at this point or Sentai afterwards have done this, but it does add to the comedy. But to some degree, this quality with the characters does minimally develop, though not to the extent of the Jetman characters out of costume. Sorry, I got a bad cough still. But in costume, however, the action is gimmicky. At times, they will make use of the car gimmicks in their attacks, such as pretending their feet and bodies are tires and whatnot. The weapons are once again a combined, a weapon to make a badass cannon like in Zyuranger, and the mech gimmicks are, of course, big-ass cars. The martial arts action is enough to keep me interested in, but I don't think it's up to the level of Dairanger or O-Ranger. In the first half of the series, the spark wounds when, getting hit by swords and all of that, aren't really organically part of the action. It's rather, in a strange way, digitally put in. But in the second half, it does come back. I guess it was just budget issues, I don't know. The mech action tends to be more fast-paced compared to other shows, but I really wouldn't say it's the best Sentai has to offer. The mech action picks up when the other mechs are introduced with the VRV mechs and, all the other mechs after that, along with Signal Man's mech. What I also found interesting, for the monsters to grow, they have to eat a specific Japanese treat called Iyomokon from a specific store. If they buy it from another store, it has the opposite effect. So, it's really strange, but what the hell. So, sorry for the cough again. I'll end the action at another 8 out of 10. The music, I think, is the best quality to the series. The opening theme is very catchy and has a good hook. The background music uses a lot of image songs for the centric character, and they are all very unique and catchy. Even Zonette has a song that she sings herself, though I don't think it's up to the level of Bandora's song or the song that the villain in Carranger sings for his concert. The instrumental background tracks are surprisingly diverse for being a comedy-centric show, and knows how to create a darker mood with the appropriate conduction. I say what got me more hooked into the series was, of course, its soundtrack. I say it is some of the best that I've heard in Super Sentai, and for that, I give it a perfect 10 out of 10. All I can say is I was hesitant in watching Carranger. Upon my review of Carranger, I said I was slowly getting to Carranger. A lot of it had to do with the bad taste Power Rangers Turbo left in my mouth, as with, some other fans for, reasons that we all know. At first, I didn't like the idea of the comedy, but eventually I just said fucked it and watched it, more at a rapid pace, and I enjoyed it for what it was and recognized that it still has qualities that I would want from a Sentai show. Then again, my favorite Jetman has had its own, its share of whacked up comedy. The show has also made me appreciate the diversity of what Super Sentai has to offer, which was something I had yet to recognize during my time watching Carranger, even though I thought that series was pretty fun itself. Personally, I prefer the darker stories that were in Jetman and O-Ranger, but more campy material, as long as it can offer distinct quality story and interesting characters, I'm okay with it. And as I said in other reviews, I prefer the individual character and relationship study series as opposed to the team as a whole approach, and Carranger offers the former. Once again, if you are hesitating to watch this series, I understand. But this series also taught me how to distinguish from Power Rangers and Sentai, and I feel that it could do the same for you. Then again, this might sound contradictory, but I still don't recommend this as a gateway series. I feel that a little familiarity with Sentai is a prerequisite, so you get an idea of what the show is spoofing, and at the same time appreciate it as its own thing. I'll conclude this review by giving Carranger an 8.5 out of 10, and remember, do not drink and drive. And sorry that I did this with a bad cough while sick.